Well, how do you transmute fear into love? What happens when fear shows up? It shows up early in relationships. People will experience fear. They'll start to respond a different way than they had been responding when the initial surge of attraction and the freshness of the experience and the baggage hasn't caught up yet, right? Because we all have baggage. We all have baggage. We all have fears. We all have shadow aspects of ourselves that show up. They show up and they show up to remind us and they show up to represent wisdom. They're just the darker side of wisdom. They're the darker example of something that's occurred that was non optimal and maybe didn't have the best result or the best outcome. So, so what is fear? Well, anywhere that fear is present, love is not. I know that's a bold statement. When you find yourself fearing, it just means that love has stepped out and the past has stepped in and the past is running the show. So, what do you do? Well, first of all, you have to recognize it. You have to also know that it's within your sphere of control. It's in your emotions are within your sphere of influence. Now, it may take a little bit, and it certainly takes a bit of practice. I've been practicing this, for decades, and I still have periods of there's things that I move through in my own life, in my own relationship with my husband's health, and but the thing that I do know is that when fear shows up, I know that faith is not there. And faith for me is the expression of love and connection with my maker. So I seek to flow love. As soon as you flow love to an area of fear, you're going to see that fear dissipate. It's going to transmute into something really beautiful, really elevated. Now I'm talking in concepts here. So let me break it down just a little bit into a more practical application. So I talked about like a newer relationship, right? So in a newer relationship, things are fresh and our we feel like there's an ideal happening again or the potential of the ideal, but then the baggage, then all of a sudden it starts to feel heavy. We start to react in ways that we didn't react at the beginning. We overlooked things at the beginning because they really didn't matter in the grand scheme of things, and then the minutia of the dissonance starts to invade our little nirvana that we've created with this person. Now, you can live a really long time with someone in a relationship that's super healthy and super happy, and these periods still enter in. It's just understanding it's part of our experience here. It's part of our own personal evolution. The relationship has an evolution, but inside of that evolution, there are two individuals evolving. If communication is shutting down, if there's not as free flow of a communication as there was early in, usually early in a relationship, we talk a lot. We express ourselves. We want to be understood. We want the other person to understand us. We delight. We delight in the likenesses. We delight in the common viewpoints. We delight in things. We delight in the flavor that the other partner brings that's a little different than our flavor. And then over time, it becomes a little bit more work, where it feels like it's more work, but it's really not. We can make it more work. And if we don't realize that there's creation and then there's work. Work is operating at a much lower vibration than creation. So when something is new, that sense of creation is opened up within us, but then we tend to settle to a more chronic mode of work. And nobody really likes work. When it feels like effort, it's not fun. But here's the thing. There will be periods of time that it's not going to be as much fun, but the sooner that you get to the root of where's my fear coming from? Why am I experiencing this fear right now? Where's it coming from? What is it linked to? I'm telling you, coaching is invaluable. And if you've received coaching in the past and you stopped getting coaching, my guess is that you're not doing as well as you did when you were receiving the coaching. There's something about associating with someone who has greater fruit in an area of life than we do that elevates us and inspires us and also gives us the steps to take, like walking through a minefield. If they're already to the other side of that particular minefield, they can just point there, point there, point there, point there, and you don't get blown up along the way and have to go back to go and restart. And that's really my goal in doing these live streams. It's my goal in posting these videos. It's to understand that I can't serve everyone, but I hope you get something from them. But there are people that I do serve. And if you need to be served, you just need to reach out and contact me. Fear can be transmuted to love. It is only transmuted with love. Only. Love is the prevailing frequency that lives inside of us. And when we go through something that makes us fearful, that means we're off. We're no longer lined up with who we are. We're no longer lined up with the vision and the destination that we've been chasing. And it's up to us to take a step back and do a little introspection. And this is where coaching helps. Sometimes it doesn't take more than a session to get somebody on track. Sometimes it takes a few months. It's really, the individual's responsibility to take control of the shadows that are happening and to bring light to them, because the whole relationship, it will then be illuminated because we're illuminated. Because we rule and determine where that relationship heads and how much light is coming into it.